Have you ever stopped to think about how a religious protest in 16th century Germany could possibly connect to the classic American story of the Pilgrims and Thanksgiving? I mean, it seems like a massive leap, right? But believe it or not, there's a direct line. So today, we're going to follow that exact story, all the way from a crisis of faith in Europe to the shores of a so-called New World. Let's dive in.
Okay, to really get this, you have to try and put yourself in the shoes of an average person living in Europe back in the 1500s. You go to church, you're looking for some comfort, maybe some hope, and instead you're just filled with pure terror. The priest is up there telling you you're a sinner and you're destined for the fires of hell. It's an absolutely terrifying prospect, and it's what set the stage for a total revolution of faith.
So you're faced with this overwhelming terror. What could you even do about it? Well, the church, it offered a solution, but it came with a pretty big catch. See, this wasn't just about faith anymore. For a lot of people in power, it had become all about money, creating a system that felt deeply corrupt to a growing number of folks.
This practice was known as selling indulgences, and it was simple, really. You could basically pay the church to have your sins forgiven. This practice made the church fabulously wealthy, but for ordinary people, it meant you were trying to buy your way into heaven while you could barely even feed your own family. And to one German monk in particular, this wasn't just unfair, it was a spiritual crime.
That monk's name was Martin Luther, and in the year 1517, he came up with a number, 95. Now, this wasn't just some random number. It was a list of 95 complaints, a direct public challenge to the church's authority and its most profitable business. The heart of Luther's argument was actually pretty simple. Salvation can't be bought. He argued that forgiveness comes from faith in Jesus Christ, period. In 1517, he sent his 95 theses to the church bishops. But, and this is the crucial part, thanks to the brand new technology of the printing press, his ideas spread, and he encouraged everyone to read the Bible for themselves. And guess what? When they did, they found that nowhere, absolutely nowhere, does it say you have to pay for forgiveness. Luther's protest kicked off a massive movement we now call Protestantism. It spread like wildfire all across Europe, splintering into all these different groups. And for some, like a group called the English Separatists, just reforming the church wasn't enough. No, they wanted a complete and total break, a place where they could practice their faith freely, with zero interference. And it's that desire that ultimately puts a group of them on a tiny ship headed for America. You know, this timeline really lays out the whole story, connecting the dots over 150 years. You can see this direct path from Luther's protest in Germany, to the Mayflower landing, to that famous first feast. And then you see how disturbingly quickly it all leads to violent conflict. It's all one continuous, really complicated story.
So who exactly were these people we call the Pilgrims?